Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him, Christ the Lord.
We all know the story, right? Wise men came from the east, following a star, looking for a child who was to bring light into the world. But you know, even though that story took place so long ago, we don't read about it simply to read about something that happened in the past. It's a reminder to us that it is also our story. You and I are meant to be magi. We are meant to be star seekers. We're meant to be those who look for the light. And you know, if you look at our story today, you have three reactions to the light. You know, the light of God always shines. It always shines on all of us. The question is, how do we respond to that? You know, several years ago, I had a fellow give me a painting that he had made. And I gave it to the church where I was stationed at the time. Beautiful painting. It was an ordinary street, an ordinary town, and soaring up over it was Jesus, kind of his second coming, soaring up into the heavens. And on the street, there were a couple of cars that had stopped, and people were standing out and raising their hands up, and there were some others on the street corner doing the same thing, looks of joy on their faces. Then as you came along, there was a guy had his hands stuffed in his pocket, his shoulders hunched, and he was just walking along, determined whatever it was he was in. He wasn't paying any attention to what was happening. And then off to one side, there was a dark alley. And you could just make out in that dark alley, there was somebody hiding there in the dark, hiding from the light that was coming. And those are the three actions we see in our story today. We have the reaction of the scribes, we have the reactions of Herod, and we have the reaction of the Magi. The question for us is, which one are we? Are we the scribes? Are we King Herod? Or are we what we're meant to be, star seekers, the Magi? See, the scribes, they have these foreigners come, and Herod comes and says, where is the new king of the Jews to be born? And they say, in Bethlehem of Judea. Now, these are men who have spent their whole life waiting for the Messiah, looking for him, studying their scriptures. But now their pride gets in the way. These foreigners, these heathens, they can't know anything about this. And so they ignore it. They had just as much opportunity to meet Jesus as anybody did, more. But they didn't. And you know, there are a lot of scribes today that are in the same boat. Our pride, our fear, whatever gets in the way. Maybe we think, you know, hey, it ain't cool to be Christian. It's not the in thing to be religious. And so we ignore God. We're walking along with our shoulders humped and our hands in our pockets, determined to ignore the light that's shining on us. The sad thing is, the light comes to us voluntarily. It doesn't force itself on us. God never forces himself. But the darkness sure does, doesn't it? Because sooner or later, the dark is going to come. Somebody's going to get sick. Somebody's going to die. Somebody's going to lose their job. Some terrible thing is going to happen in someone's life, and the darkness comes. And the sad thing is, and I have been a priest for 18 years, and I can't tell you the number of times I've had people come to me in terrible moments in their lives. And they always generally begin their talk with me with something like this. Father, I went to Catholic school and I was confirmed. Looking at a 50-year-old person sitting here. I'll say to them, well, that's really good. But how's your relationship with Jesus right now? Well, I went to Catholic school and I was confirmed. See, they've ignored the light. They've been the scribes. And so now that they need him, they don't have that relationship with him. So many people find themselves in this situation when something terrible happens in their life and they don't have that strong, powerful relationship with Christ. They wind up confused and lost. The time to build the relationship is now, before the darkness comes. To become a child of the light now, so that when the dark falls, it doesn't matter, because you're one with the light so powerful that no darkness can overwhelm it. Then you have those like King Herod who choose the dark. Now Herod could have been a great king. He started out really well. He built a lot of public projects, put people to work. He built aqueducts that brought fresh water from the mountains down to Jerusalem. He built new ports to improve trade. When there was a famine, he gave everybody their tax money back so that they could afford to import food. And for the very poorest of the poor, he melted down his gold plates and gave the money to the poor. But the darkness that came into Herod was that he was paranoid. He just knew old Adam over here was going to steal his throne. So he had Adam greased and put out of the way. Anybody and everybody that was his opponent, he got rid of, even if it was just in his mind. He killed his wife. He killed 2 of his 3 sons. Caesar Augustus, the emperor of Rome, who knew that Herod was that practiced very strictly the Jewish faith, said it's better to be Herod's pig, because he wouldn't kill a pig, than it was to be his son, because he'd sure kill them. You know, a few years ago, they were doing some excavating near Bethlehem to build a new building. When they dug down, they opened up a pit, little skeletons, little male babies, all of them with their heads bashed in, and all dating from the 1st century. These are believed to be the children who were massacred by Herod in the slaughter of the innocents. Herod let the darkness in his life, and it overwhelmed him. And you know, sad to say, there are a lot of King Herods in the world today, aren't there?
Come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him. Christ.